Hello and welcome to the video for Monday, October 12th for After Effects. Hello, how you guys doing today?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good, good. You enjoying the increasingly cool weather at night and in the morning?
Yeah, finally.
Oh my God, I know. That's what I always say too. It's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Wait, the weather's changing for you guys? It's still feels the
Well,
same to me.
or only in the mornings and like late at night it changes. It drops about like 5, 10 more degrees, maybe.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
but it definitely feels cooler. It definitely feels like the season is getting ready to change.
Yeah.
Yay, which I'm excited about. Yay! Our drive-by winter.
Yeah, that.
Which lasts like a long weekend.
Yeah. We have two seasons in Arizona, summer and January.
Summer and kind of less hot. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I like living here because I don't like the cold, but it would be nice to at least take a trip back east and see the changing leaves. And snow is fun. It's fun to visit. It's not fun to live in, but it's fun to visit.
Yeah, I could imagine. Like, I'd like to visit other places, but I think I'm used to this by now. It's couldn't see myself living anywhere else.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I considered moving at one point to the Pacific Northwest, but that whole rain thing with the
Oh yeah.
overcast skies, yeah, that seasonal affective uh, disorder. I think that would definitely affect me because when you get spoiled by sun 24/7, it's hard to live anywhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, let me put you guys into the attendance and then we will get started. Okay. And right, got that. And this. Okay. All right. So now we can go back here. And I met some more people into the class. I remember.
Oh, and I also watched Young Frankenstein. That
Oh,
was
you did it? What did you think?
really really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like a black and white movie like that good, but that's better than most modern movies.
It's better than most modern comedies, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just terrific, man. I really dig that. Um now uh did you like the black and white aspect of it?
Uh, yes, it was the black. I think did the color switch out? Did the color switch in or out to out or something?
I
Some
can't
parts.
It's been a while since I saw it, but
Uh,
did it become color at some point?
yeah, I was thinking for some second I thought it did, but I guess I don't know if it did.
Yeah, I never remember that. I think The Wizard of Oz is in black and white at the beginning, right? And then it changes the color when Dorothy comes in Oz. Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty
and
powerful.
and I also saw a huge coyote today, almost the size of a Great Dane when I was walking this morning.
Oh my God, did you freak out?
I I was listening to music, and then when I like looked up, there was like a street cat walking next to me, and when it saw it, it freaked out and walked the other way and started running. And then I said, Why is it running?" And then I looked up, and there was a great size of a great. I don't think I'm exaggerating it, but the size of a Great Dane coyote. It looked at me, you know, all strolling across the street, and it went into a cul-de-sac is where I lost it, and I was like, I'm glad I don't live in that cul-de-sac because I would totally lose it if I saw that on my damn security camera, home security camera.
That's where it drags all the bodies, all the
Uh,
neighbors.
it could be like a what is it like a werewolf like where the all the werewolves hang out. Well, that's where all the coyotes hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, somebody that makes me think somebody should do. You know how there's like werewolves. Somebody should do like a coyote wolf, like where somebody was a coyote, half coyote, half man, or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that idea.
that
You know,
would.
down here in southern Arizona, especially this time of year with the whole Halloween thing.
Yeah.
Um, are any of you guys fans of? Well, I know Kim is a fan of costuming and stuff like that, but any of you guys ever go to like the Spirit Halloween stores and get costumes?
So I just took my brother to work the other day because he works at Spirit Halloween now.
Oh,
And I left having spent $70.
Oh,
awesome! $70.
Yep,
Oh my God! What did you get? Stuff for just one costume or for a bunch?
for one costume.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, are we gonna get to see it eventually? Or are you gonna?
At some point. At some point, I'm actually going to get up before class starts and dress up and then just exist. And it'll be great,
That's a nice goal to look forward to existing.
right?
Do you think, it's kind of weird in this virtual world that we're living in now? Like, doesn't it feel like existence is like altogether different? Like, you know, you could almost lead a totally virtual life at this point, right? You go to school virtually. Some people go to work virtually, right? You see your
I
friends.
wish I could do that, but I don't think I can just hand people internet coffee,
That would be awesome if you could, though, huh?
right?
Maybe you can work on that, Kim. That business. Um, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Let me read what's in the notes here. Let's see. Cece says that going back to Young Frankenstein, yeah, great soundtrack for a comedy, especially that one violin song. I think it's time for me to watch that again, especially with it being the time of year. Let's see. A shapeshifter Arizona style. Gabriel saying about the coyote wolf.
Well,
Um,
you mean like the skinwalkers? Is that what they mean?
I guess so. Yeah, Skinwalkers. Right. That's a good one. Let's see now. Gabriel says they actually did something like this. It was such a bad film they featured it on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time. That's a good show. Let's see. Rachel says, "Does anyone know what's going on in Tucson for Halloween?" And Gabriel says, "We're in the Matrix without the uncomfortable neck plugs." Yeah. And Courtney says, "Last year was my first time creating armor out of foam for my son's Full Metal Alchemist costume. It's a fun time." So yeah, I wonder what people with kids are doing for Halloween. I mean, especially, I guess they're dressing them up for school or maybe even virtual school where they can be in their costumes for a Zoom class or something.
I
I was just
know.
going to buy a bag of candy and pelt my siblings with it.
I know. At my job, we can wear our Halloween costumes at work, but we can't just cover our mask. Or we can't wear any mask or face, but
Yeah.
we have to have our name tag on,
Okay.
and don't even have to wear our aprons either. It's Joanne's. Yeah.
Oh, at Joanne's?
Yeah.
That's a cool place. I like that place. You know about the SAS Fabrics going under?
No, not exactly. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
about a lot of the deals, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So Gabriel says, "I bet the hazmat outfit is sold out as a costume this year." Yeah. That's a good costume. There's another costume I saw where you can dress up like a ballot, like a mail-in ballot. But they always have those kind of crazy costumes. Let's see. SAS is only open in Phoenix right now. It's right next to ASU. Yeah, I love that store. I'm really sad that they closed in Tucson, but it's cool that they're open in Phoenix. But now you can go to Joann's and bug Rodney for all your fabric needs. Oh, Renee loved it too. I did. I like that store. It was just so easy. I got a funny story to tell you guys about SAS Fabrics, right? So I used to drive this Volvo station wagon, and this has nothing to do with After Effects, by the way. So I used to drive this Volvo station wagon, which I still own, by the way. And I was one of those guys. I was this artist guy who like played in bands and made paintings and stuff like that. And I never cleaned out the back of my station wagon, so there was always stuff in there, all kinds of stuff. And I just done like a comic book convention, so I had all kinds of pieces back there and everything. Anyway, I parked at Joann's to go in and get some fabric for something, and I came out, and like a couple of the members of the Joann staff were gathered around my station wagon looking in the back. And I went over and I go, "Hey, what's going on?" And they go, "We found this station wagon. It's like an archaeological find. You can look through the windows and see all these different things, right?" And they were looking through my windows and they were seeing like musical instruments and little like paintings and like pieces of clothing and stuff. I was like, I've never been so embarrassed and fascinated at the same time, you know?
That's good.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Anyway, maybe that's why I like the store, because it made me laugh. But let's see. Yeah, traveling art museum. Yeah, unbelievable, right? You got to put up those little. I think after that, quite honestly, I think I went and I bought those little curtains. You know, those little curtains you can put in the back of your car. I think I put them like all around the car. I'm like, you know, whatever I have back here, I don't want people looking and seeing it. Or maybe I should just clean the car. Maybe that's the lesson, right?
One
Yeah,
of the two.
yeah. Joey says, "Yo, that's my car. Can y'all move?" Yeah, I totally hear you. Okay, so let me see what we have today as far as what we're doing in class. Let's see. So I have some people listed for doing presentations. Let me see if any of those people are here today. Let's see. Looking. Nope, I don't see any of those people today. A convenient time to not show up for class. Okay. So, but maybe if they do show up, we'll actually get a presentation. All right. So, just a quick check-in. Did anybody do any work on their project and have like an animatic they want to share with us to get some feedback before you finish it off? Rachel, you have an animatic? Okay, cool. So let me see if I can go into your folder and then share my computer screen. All right, so let me type in Rachel. Rachel. No, dar250, but that's not a folder. Oh, maybe I need to be in Drive. I think I am in Drive. Okay, let's see. Oh, there it is. dar250 After Effects. Okay, and now let me go to share my screen. Share screen. Okay, so animatic, this one here, right? I would assume.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay, what do you guys think of that?
Definitely like the cartoon pictures you're using, classic
At the
ones.
end,
Yeah,
time
like
travel may time traveler
the
might
50s, the 60s, yeah. Uh, so does her animatic tell a story?
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a well done animatic. You know, not that you would leave it standing on its own, but it can almost stand on its own as a way to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I think it does. And like, you know, when you're looking at this, what is the thing you're thinking of next that you would add?
Sorry, is this for me or for everybody? This question.
Okay. Yeah, I mean like I'm looking at I'm going, okay, what kind of music, you know, would I add to this, right? What kind of sound effects would be back there? You know, what would be the soundtrack behind all this? Are you thinking, Rachel, that you might do something like have sound that's kind of futuristic, or sound that's kind of like the 1950s or 60s, like the artwork?
Yeah, I'm gonna do like really old timey. I haven't found the right thing yet. I've been working on the actual um the finalized project. So this is kind of like I actually did most of the finalized project first and then went back and did the animatics. So I kind of went backwards.
Okay,
um
yeah, no, that's fine. Okay,
yeah, but so I'm gonna do old timey music for sure, and then I'm gonna animate some of the like really simple animations, just having like, for example, this plague guy, like just having his arm moving, but not too much, you know.
yeah. Um, so there's lots of nice compliments and suggestions in the chat here. One of the comments is a few of the slides went too fast. So you know, you might want to, you know, that rule of thumb, keep text on long enough to read it 3 times so that, you know, people who read at different rates can read it.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, and especially the pieces of text near the end, there were a couple that were kind of long pieces of text, so make sure you keep those on long enough. Um, but you know, overall, it's really nice. The let's see, Laura said she liked the font, and I agree with that. Let's see, Joey says it's going to turn out great. Courtney likes the font and the old time black and white art together. I do too. Has a very unique feel to it. When I saw this plague doctor, I thought, oh, there's another costume that's gonna, you know, sell out this year for Halloween. Let's see. Gabriel thought it was awesome. Luz thinks you should use music like from Fallout Shelter. Courtney says futuristic 50s music. Rodney says the slides were a little fast, but liked it overall. Joey says Fallout music would be cool. Courtney, tiptoe through the tulips. Spike says, what did it say at the end? What did it say at the end, Rachel?
It's kind of long, but it was just like, you know how if you're like watching TV and an ad comes on for like a medication and then they have those insane like warnings at the end. Well, I
The
thought it
disclaimer.
would be, yeah. So I thought it'd be funny to kind of do something kind of like that at the end where it's just like, by the way, this will probably kill you.
I like it. I'm actually going to be doing one of those for mine, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, have you considered doing a voiceover for this?
I hate the sound of my own voice, so
Oh.
I can't use my voice. I could ask my boyfriend. He's got a really deep voice that I think would be okay, but he's really busy, so he may not be able to do it. But I thought about it, but then I was like, do I really want to do all that? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard. You know, you like the idea of having a voice actor do a voiceover, but then you got to find somebody, right? So let's see. Spike is actually asking what it actually said at the end. So I'm going to try and forward it. Okay, here it goes. Let's see. Oops. Why did it? I was hoping I could get it to stop. Okay, stop, pause. Okay. I like the permanent changes in cell structure, right? Yeah,
Love it. Love everything about it.
yeah, it's really nice. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, you'd have, you know, the perfect music background and somebody doing the voiceover and everything, but there's enough substance here that whatever you do with it, I think it's going to be great. Just, you know, work on that timing, make sure that people can read everything that you want them to read. If you have to, if it helps, you could even take a longer slide like this and split it up into 2 slides and then leave each one on a certain amount of time if you're worried about a slide being up too long.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's a great idea. I mean, I love the idea. It sounds like a sci-fi movie that should have Matt Damon in it or something like Escape to the Future. You know what I mean? Because you know, your current life sucks, or you're on the brink of devastation, or basically you just live in our modern world and you want to escape to the future, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
Have there been sci-fi movies made like that? I mean, certainly there's a lot of time travel with people going to the past, but I don't know about that many of them going to the future. Let's see. Spike says, I thought it said time travel with traveler may result in traveling in time XD. This is still really good. Gabriel says, oh, it's a great idea. Never thought of that. The disclaimer reminds me of the SNL vice president debate skit. Jim Carrey as Biden turning into a fly as he travels. Yeah, I really enjoyed Jim Carrey as the fly. I gotta admit, I watched the debate, and afterwards, you gotta admit, I feel sorry for, the VP with the fly in his head. I mean, anybody who had a fly on his head for 2 minutes during a debate would just become a laughing stock, which he did. I mean, the internet is full of memes about that stuff, and you just kind of feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for anything he said or, any of his arguments or anything like that. It's just that one element that just got lampooned across the internet. It's like, whew, that's harsh. Let's see. And then the fly reference. Okay. Let's see. Everything that he said was overshadowed by the fly. Yeah, it's true. The fly kind of won the debate. Okay, well, this is a great job, and thank you for going back and making the animatic for us. Hopefully it's helpful because you got some feedback, which will help you with your final project. And Gabriel says, it's strange how society is so easily distracted. Yeah, do you guys ever, I mean...
Ooh, a piece of candy, something shiny.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic because we're actually in a class on the internet, but I was going to say, do you guys ever feel like the entire internet is like one giant classroom and there's sort of a sophomoric level of humor and there's just people, putting up memes just like you would create a funny drawing and hand it to your classmate? Do you guys ever feel like that?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I kind of see it, yeah.
I mean, there's good and bad sides to it. The bad side is anybody who does anything even remotely, laughable just gets, lampooned endlessly. But the good side of that is, the humor content. But it's a pretty rough. It's like there's a video camera on all of us and everything we do now, and it's kind of a rough way to live. Because anything you do, a lot of what you do can be filmed and can appear on Facebook or somebody's feed, and I don't know, it just seems like a lot of pressure, and it says, let's see, internet is way less mature than that. Yeah, that's probably true. Rachel says, thank you to everyone. Gabriel says, yeah, we should have teleporting Star Trek tech by now. It's true, although we do have cell phones, which are like communicators from Star Trek. We certainly have lasers, and we also have flying cars that are happening in different parts of the world. They're developing flying cars, which are basically like helicopters that you can land and drive. But there's prototypes out there. You can see them on the internet, and they'll be here in a few years. I think the first thing that's going to hit are flying helicopter taxis. So it'll be kind of like Uber, but you can take a flying car. It's pretty awesome. Let's see. All right, and FaceTime. Yeah, we do have FaceTime, which is totally the Dick Tracy thing. I mean, I don't know. Can you do FaceTime on an Apple Watch yet? If you could, that would be totally Dick Tracy. I don't know if you guys know the Dick Tracy comics.
Yeah.
Came out in the 40s, and Dick Tracy could look at his watch, and there was a video feed there. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. All right. Does anybody else have an animatic or even a partial animation of their project that they want feedback on, that they want to share with us? Because we're happy to look at that and give you guys some feedback.
I have mine that I did a little bit of work on with the underwater museum.
All right. Well, let me see if I can find that.
You did more to that? That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it Project 2 FIN?
Yes. I think that's the...
Yeah. That's the way every day goes. Every time we've no control. If the sky is pink and white, if the ground is black and yellow, it's the same way you showed me. Nod my head, don't close my eyes. Halfway on a slow move. It's the same way you showed me.
No, I think that's the old one.
No, it's getting cold soon, but where it is, we're on land. So I'm someone to hold true. Keep you cool when it's still alive.
No,
Put you down when it's
that's the right one.
just the same way you showed me. Showed me. You showed me love. Glory from above. Regardless, dear. It's all downhill from here. In the way.
Okay. All right. What kind of feedback you guys have for Rodney on that? Let's see. So Courtney says, are these real things that are underwater or was it Photoshop?
Those real things. Yeah, all by Jason DeCarlos Teller. That's museum in Cancun, Mexico, where you can pay 40 to $100 to actually either scuba dive, go on a boat, or to see all his sculpted art that is literally underwater. I don't know if it's fenced or like netted, but yeah, it's all underwater.
That sounds like something for the bucket list, right? To get out there and, well, I mean, to be in Cancun alone would be one thing, but then
Yeah.
to go scuba diving was the second thing, and then to see these awesome sculptures, that's definitely on my list. I would like to do this.
And you said it's a place where you can do a tour, and that is a tour, and I would definitely, yes, love to go there also. And it's definitely affordable because I think our money is like like a like a 1 to 30 ratio, so it's even cheaper
Wow.
for us to go there.
Yeah.
No.
Then there's the whole COVID thing, though. You got to worry about.
Yeah.
Field trip.
Right.
Okay, everybody meet underwater. Yeah. Now, Rodney, I think maybe the whole thing about keeping your slides on longer might be applicable to you.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's some of them just zoom by before we had time to read them. Another thing you might consider is taking the font size. You know how you have the name of the piece and then by and you give like Jason his credit.
Yeah.
You might want to make the credit line smaller, a smaller font.
Okay.
Usually people will put the name of the piece prominent and then the name of the artist a little smaller. So, but I like the music and of course the graphics are great. Let's see. Joey said, "Have you found real video clips of this on the internet? Maybe it would be cool if you found some of these and incorporated them."
No, I haven't found actual video because I just went to their site, and because it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I've got the site on bookmark, and yeah, they don't have a video of it readily handed on the site, but I'm pretty sure somebody might have a video if I'm just searching the web.
Yeah, Joey says maybe YouTube. Yeah, I mean,
oh yeah.
yeah, it couldn't hurt. It couldn't hurt. Maybe you find some more shots. I mean, certainly everybody who goes down there that has a waterproof camera is going to be filming.
Because I mean, I didn't want it to go over a minute excessively.
Okay.
Too, but I guess I can make it about 1:30.
Yeah,
just go with what you're feeling, man, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd love to see more. We'll see whatever you put out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Joey's saying don't limit yourself.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Very nice. Looks good, Rodney.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to share with us right now? Okay. Let me me see. Let me go back here. Okay, and Gabriel says, yeah, the right length will just feel right. Okay, so I think what we're going to do now is we have a couple tutorials to do today. So you'll need to go to the class website and first download or visit this site, add rain to video. And this is going to be one of those tutorials. We don't have the actual video tutorial. We just have the text-based instructions. So you'll need to get the files right here and then open them up in After Effects. I've already downloaded the files, and it's this cool. It's Rodney's coyote. Rodney's no, it's just a wolf actually. But and he's in this little rainstorm here. So we're going to learn how to do this, how to put rain in the video.
If I saw that walking next to me, I would definitely freak a little bit more.
I would freak out too, man. I don't know.
I'd try to pet it.
I would definitely not do that.
I would just pick up the stray cat and throw it at him. You know, like here.
Yeah.
Lunch. Not really. I like cats, but
yeah.
okay. So so what we're gonna do once again is download this file. Now they're asking us to work in the standard workspace. Now, in After Effects, you know, you have your different workspaces here that you can click on, and this one is already set to standard, right? All right, so let's see what they want us to do here. Working in the standard workspace, import your footage and place it in a new composition. All right, so it looks like if we open the actual file that's in there, it's just going to show us, I guess, the finished demo or something like that. So we would have to make a new file and then import the footage. So let's see, let me go to my downloads folder and go in here and see what we can see. So add rain. So okay, so there's a movie here called inside footage called Adobe stock blah 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 dot movie, right? So yeah, when they're talking about the footage, that's what they're talking about. Okay, so working in standard, import your footage and place it in a new composition. All right, so that means we got to go into After Effects. If you got this thing open, it doesn't matter. We're going to have to create a new composition. So I guess we could just do it from this. We could grab this Adobe, you could open the stock footage folder here, grab this thing and just simply drag it down on top of this little icon down here that has the colors on it. And it should make a brand new composition for you based on that one movie file. Okay, now let's see. They want us to name that. Let's see. Rename the footage layer foreground plate. Okay, rename the footage layer foreground plate. All right, so we're going to come here. This is the footage layer. We're going to click on it. We're going to hit return, our enter button, and we're going to name this foreground plate. Okay, next. Add a solid on top, layer, new solid, and name it foreground rain in the solid settings dialog box. Click the color chip, color, and set it to black, and click OK. And OK again to close the box. Okay, so we're going to make a layer solid, make it black, and call it foreground rain. Okay, so we're going to go in here, go layer, new, solid. Okay, in this little dialog box here, we're going to click on the little color chip there and make it black. You probably want to click on this make comp size, which is going to make it the entire size of the composition. And then you're going to hit OK. And of course, it's going to cover the entire composition. Now, mine is kind of small. It's at 50%. I can click on this drop-down menu and I can just go fit, and it's going to zoom it up to the full size. Okay, so now we got our layers solid. Oh, I screwed up. I forgot to call it foreground rain. My bad. Okay, so now we got to name that. So it's called black solid 1, but I can click on this, hit my return button, and then name it foreground rain. Okay. All right. Switch the mode for the foreground layer from normal to screen. If you don't see the mode column, toggle the switches mode button at the bottom of the timeline panel. Okay, so we're going to change it from normal to screen. So right now I'm in what's called the switches mode, which is all these little boxes. Come down to the bottom of your screen, click toggle switches and modes. You know if you're in the modes mode because it says the word mode here. So right over here, click on the drop down menu and change it to screen. And what screen does, as it does in Photoshop, is it takes the top layer, which is this black layer, and it combines it with the bottom layer, retaining a little bit of the color of the top layer. Okay, so we did that. Okay, now it says go to the Effects and Presets panel, Window, Effects and Presets, and type Rainfall in the search field. Drag the CC Rainfall effect to the foreground rain layer. Okay. So we're going to go over here now. I don't see my window that has the effects over here. So what I'm going to have to do is go under my window drop down and click Effects and Presets. And now I've got that. So now I'm going to type in Rainfall. Okay, CC Rainfall is the only choice. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to drag it. Well, I'm going to drag it on top of the top layer, which is this foreground rain. You can either drag it here or you can drag it right here on top of the actual layer itself. Okay, so that's going to apply the effect, and the effects window is going to open up in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, change the effects settings in the effects control panel. Depending on how hard you want the raindrops to fall, how much rain you want visible in the scene, whether it's showering or drizzling, and so on. Size and spread have a noticeable effect, so experiment with those until the rain looks right to you. Play the sequence. If the rain looks fine, you're done, but you may wish to add some depth to the scene. Okay, so what that means is if we start playing this, you're going to see that the rain effect is already there, right? We applied that to this black solid layer, and all of these kind of white stripy looking things falling down are the rain. Now, you can change the effects of the rain by changing these different settings here. Now, we don't have to animate this. You have these stopwatches here, so you could animate it so that the rain changes. It could go from a light rain to a heavy rain, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We can just kind of change the texture of the rain. So come up here to where it says drops, and instead of 5,000, take that number and make it much lower. Click on it and drag it over to 1,000, and then go through your scene and see clearly there's a lot fewer drops there than there were before for me. You can also just hit your play button. I'm gonna go up to 20,000 just because I feel like going nuts here. 2,100. Look at that. That is some serious. That's just a wall of rain. That doesn't even look like rain anymore. It just looks like a curtain that you're looking through. So clearly that's too much. So you can, and as you move it, you can see the raindrops disappearing. So you can bring it down to whatever feels right for you. The size of your droplets, you can change those. Click on that number and make it as big or as small as you want. Obviously, the bigger the droplets, the more attention they're going to get. Maybe even a less realistic it will look too. Because they're really big, it might look more like a special effect and less like rain. And of course, the bigger the droplets, the more rain it looks like there is there because they're thicker. So I think I'm going to keep mine down to that lower number, around the 3 or 4 that it was. I'll just go down to 4. That's fine.
I have a quick question.
Okay, you
You
can
know
also
that little side panel that you have?
this one right here.
Yeah, the one that your mouse is on. How do you bring it back after accidentally getting rid of it?
Well,
Like the entire panel itself.
Okay, so in other words, yours says project right now?
No, I don't have that either.
Okay, well, so click over here. You see these lists of words here?
Yes.
Click on standard. Do you have that?
I'm in standard.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wait. can I hit reset? Does
Yeah,
it
yeah,
fix
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It fixes it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And by the way, you guys, remember that this special effects panel covers your project panel. And you can go back and forth between them via these double-headed arrows here. But anyway, go ahead and experiment with this. Try, add some wind. Look at that. Look at how the wind pushes the rain one direction or the other. It's just super cool. You got nothing to lose by just playing with this. The scene depth gives it sort of a three-dimensionality to it. We got the color of the raindrops. I don't know why you would want to change those to something other than white. Maybe if you're a Prince fan, you can make them purple or something. You can make them more or less opaque, and so on and so forth. So, when you're all done, or maybe while you're testing this, you can hit your play button and see how it works. I kind of like I liked moving the wind speed up some so that it's angled almost at a similar angle to the way that the wolf is standing. You know how he's kind of tilted like this? Because it makes everything in the scene, it gives a continuity to sort of everything in the scene. So CC says, can you make the rain a bit more diagonal? Yes, you can do that by changing your wind speed. That's so cool. And if it looks like a place where there would be rain, like this beautiful green forest, people aren't really going to question the footage, if it's accurate or not. But I think that looks really cool. Yeah, it is. It's really cool that you could put rain in like this. I'm convinced that a lot of movies that are shot with rain scenes, that all they do is they just take hoses and make puddles on the ground, and then they film it and put this, maybe get the actors a little wet, and then put this kind of thing in there because it's so much cheaper and easier. Because I always wondered about those actors being out in the cold rain for take after take. They'd probably all get sick. Okay, so let's see. Now, they want us to try something else after we've played with all our rain settings there. Now it says, with the foreground plate layer selected. Okay, so let's make sure we have that selected. So first of all, you got to stop your playback. Back to the beginning. Now click on the foreground rain layer. Okay, now it says, activate the pen tool and draw a mask around whatever defines the foreground in your scene. Okay, now the example that they give us is this right here, sort of these bushes, the wolf himself, and this kind of whatever, looks like he's on a moss-covered tree, fallen tree or whatever. So this is what we want to do. We want to create a mask around that. So what we're going to do is go into After Effects. We're going to click on our pen tool, which is this little tool to the right of the letter T, or the left of the letter T, and then just come onto your screen here and draw little dots around the bush on the left, the little plant here. Let's go up here. I'm gonna put some extra room around this wolf for when he moves around a bit, which he clearly does. And then come out to my tree. Okay, now what you want to do is you can zoom out a little more, come down beyond this level here, and then over here, and then click back here on the very first one there, and then you'll have this little mask that you created. All right, let's see what's next. Okay, now it says expand the mask one layer and add some feathering. Right, expand the mask one layer and add some feathering. All right, so we're going to open foreground rain. We're going to open mask. We're going to open mask one, and then you'll see mask feather. So click on either one of those numbers and drag it to the left, and see what's happening. In my case, the rain is like actually moving up, and so my guess is I have to feather this up until the rain goes up to the top of the screen there. Looks like about right.
My
So it's
bad.
not-
I heard you a little bit different. I put mine on the foreground plate instead of the rain.
Oh, you got to get rid of it then. Let me see. Let me make sure I did mine right. Oh, actually, you were right. I totally screwed this up. You are exactly right, sir. You did yours on the foreground plate.
Thank goodness. Okay.
God, thank God you said something. I would have been here all week trying to figure out why I did this so jacked up. Okay. Sorry. I just assumed it was on the top one, but I was so wrong. Okay.
Oh, we're blessed.
Ignore everything I said. Listen to everything Rodney says. Okay. So foreground plate, I'm sure you guys all did it right. If not, you can do a bunch of Command Z's like I just did and get rid of that mask that you made on the wrong layer, which, you know, that'll teach you. Never listen to me. Okay. Go ahead and make a new mask. You should be getting pretty good at it by now. Okay, boom. All right, yes. Now that's correct. I was wondering why it didn't look like a mask. When you complete a mask, the mask becomes the window and everything else gets blocked out. But it didn't work because we're on that special rain layer. Okay, so now on the foreground path layer, open that, open masks, open mask 1, and now we got to do the feathering. Okay, so we'll click on this and feather a little bit, and you can see what you see is you see the darkness creep in from the edge of the mask into the scene, and that's what the feathering is doing. So, you know, if you can't see much of a difference, you can zoom in or maybe just set it to a certain number and we'll see what they want us to do next. Okay, expand the mask 1 layer and add some feathering. Scrub the timeline. If anything happens to stray outside the static mask, click the stopwatch next to mask path and then reposition the mask path points as necessary to contain the foreground objects as they move. Okay, so we're going to do that. It says this may take several minutes to complete accurately. Okay, so this is kind of like when we were doing that. This is like a much more complicated version of following that Volvo license plate, you know, around the mountain path. What we got to do, and this is like if you were employed by, you know, even a local TV station or a movie theater or something, and you were making a Marvel movie and they needed to mask out this green screen in the background or whatever. But what we have to do, now we can assume that there's not going to be much movement by the bush and the plant, right? It's really going to be this wolf. So, so what we need to do is we need to move our playback head here, you know, down a little bit. And right when you get, right before you get to the point where the wolf is going to move outside of your path, you have to click on the mask path stopwatch, right? You make a new keyframe. And then you have to, let's see. Let me see how I can make a new point on this mask path. Okay, it's giving me a hard time. Let's see, I'm on mask path. Wait, cancel. Now I should be able, okay, oh, I know what it is. I got to click on my arrow tool and click off of it for a second. That's right. So if you click on your arrow tool and click off of the mask for a second, if you click on any individual point after that, you can change it. And so what I want to do is I want to click on these individual points and I want to pull them out so that there's enough room for this wolf to do his little turny thing, right? Now you have to go ahead and grab the playback head and move it over a little bit. Now right here, he's going to move again outside of my mask. So at this point, I can go over here and I can click to add another keyframe. This time I'll have to go all the way to the left and click this empty diamond shape, add another keyframe. I'll have to click off of this path for a second. Oops, click too far there. And then on it again to select my mask path points. And I got to move it. You know, I should be smart and move it over enough to cover any amount of turning he may do. And then I got to move my playback head down a little more. Oh, there he goes. He turned a lot more. So right here, I can click on the empty diamond again. click on one of my points here. Let's see. Actually, let me click, let me zoom out. Click on the gray, and then click on a point and move that out. Okay. And now that should, yep. Oh, almost. His ear is going to go outside the path here. So click in the gray area, click on one of the points again, and then move it out. I think that should be good, although he does move off to the right. Okay, that's pretty good. Up. I think his nose, yeah, his nose right there goes a little outside the path. So this is challenging, but it really is very realistic about how you would use this software, you know, to do anything like making masking on footage. Wow, his nose goes really far out, so I gotta really move that out. Okay, okay, good. So now we got him doing this thing. He's hanging out like that for a second. Now I know he's eventually gonna go off to the right, so I gotta be prepared for that. Looks like he's spending a lot of time hanging out here. Okay, here we go. Now he starts to move down. And, oh, it looks like right here is where I got to put in a new keyframe. Click in the gray. I'm going to have to just open this up and see if I can account for any movement that he does off of the screen. Nope, looks like not quite enough. So yeah, there's quite a bit of adjustment you have to do here. Now also at this point, I can also grab these and move them in because of course we don't need this area over here, oops, anymore. Okay, so we got that. And then I can go a little further, create another one. You know, pull these guys in. And he's almost gone, so maybe I'll keep this out a bit, knowing that he's bound to go to the right, but he's certainly not coming to the left anymore. Okay, right here, he needs a keyframe. You know, maybe I'll just do this just to make life easier on me. I know he's not coming back to the left. Oops, did that again. It's always that same point. Okay. All right, and then here he goes. Oh, unbelievable. He's going to go a little higher. Oh, the movement of creatures is so interesting. Okay. All right, we got that. And now, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it with this Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf. Do you guys remember that from, what was it, Pulp Fiction? Mr. Wolf. Okay, and there we go, and now he's completely gone. Okay, so I can put a final one there. Oops, accidentally clicked on my whole mask. All right, so hopefully you guys are following along and doing some little mask edits like this. This will help you because you'll definitely use masks in your career. Okay, and so now, you know, if you want to see how well you did, you can go back through here. You know, just grab, it's called scrubbing when you just drag your playhead across the scene. Oh, looks like, let me see. Well, looks like I did a pretty good job. I mean, it took a lot of work, but there he goes. Okay, and he's gone. Okay, so after we make our mask, let's see what they want us to do next. Now it says, add a second mask to the foreground plate layer to include non-contiguous items in the same plane. Well, we're not gonna bother with that. I don't think we need to do that. Now it says, duplicate the foreground plate layer and rename the copy background plate. Okay, duplicate the foreground plate layer. Okay, so I'm gonna close up this layer. Click on foreground plate, and on a Macintosh, Command D, on a PC, Control D. And now this new layer here, I'm gonna hit my return key so I can name it, and I'm gonna name this background plate. All right. Okay, duplicate the foreground rain layer and rename it background rain. Okay, what are they up to here? We don't know. Okay, click on foreground rain, click Command D or Control D, hit your return button, and name that background rain. Okay. Okay, now stack the layers as follows. Foreground rain, foreground plate, background rain, background plate. Okay, foreground rain plate. Okay, so let's see. Foreground rain, foreground plate, background rain, background plate. Foreground rain, foreground plate, background rain. Okay, so that's how you want to stack them. The foreground rain and then plate, and then the background rain and plate. Now, select the background plate layer. So this will be the bottommost layer of once you've stacked them like that. And press M and delete the mask on that layer. Okay, so I'm going to go back there. We're going to press M, which will show us the mask. We're going to click on the mask layer here, right where it says mask, and we're going to hit our delete button, and that's going to pull the mask off that layer. Okay. Select the background rain layer. Okay, select background rain. Okay, that's the layer 3, the layer right above that. And adjust the CC rainfall effects settings in the effects control panel to account for generally smaller drops falling more slowly since they're further away. Okay, so we want smaller drops and we want them falling more slowly. Okay, smaller drops falling more slowly. So, okay, we've got background rain. So, fewer drops. So, we're going to click on this number and drag it to the left to make it smaller. And it's falling more slowly, so the speed is 3,700. So I'm going to click that and move it over so that they fall slower too. So now we've got a couple of different layers of rain, which makes more depth. So some of them, this layer, they're going to be smaller drops falling more slowly, and the other ones will be whatever they were originally. And they say you can preview your layer if you want and see how that looks, or your movie if you want. You can either scrub through it or just hit your play button and watch it play. Okay, preview the composition. Now, depending on your scene, consider keyframing CC rainfall settings from small to large or vice versa to simulate the onset of cloudburst or rain tapering off. Okay, so in other words, we're done with this tutorial, but you know, if you were doing this in a real scene, you could animate those raindrops. So you could make it so that at certain points it was falling harder, you know, faster, more wind, more drops. And then, you know, over time it became a little lighter as if the rain were easing up, or maybe just the opposite. And once again, you know, this would probably be coordinated with music. So the sort of swell, the ebb and flow of the rain could match the music, right? So, you know, you can go ahead and preview your animation if you want. Mine's going to go really slow. Oh, and this is why. I'm going to stop it for a second. It's in the full-time render mode here, which of course is going to make it look as good as possible, but will take a long time to render. So I just changed it to the quarter, which is right here in this drop-down, and that means it's going to render a lot quicker. Of course, it's not going to look as good, but that's not my main concern right now. I just want to see, you know, how the elements I'm working on look. Looks like quite a storm going on there. And after it plays through once, of course, it's fully rendered and you can see it again. But I like it. I like the way it looks. And as I said, you can animate the keyframes of the rain so that, you know, different things happen over time. Now let's watch their little preview here. This is what they came up with. Yeah, so there's this nice, there's like, they've set the keyframe so that there's basically no rainfall at the very beginning. And then it really starts to rain, and you feel like that's the reason why the wolf moves, is because of the rain. So that's very clever. So let's watch it again. So no real rain at the beginning, and then just a few drops, and then it starts to build up to a medium, and then it just full on downpour. And now this little guy's like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna go to Rodney's neighborhood and get a cat for lunch. Uh, okay, but pretty cool, huh? That you can just add that in. All right, so as usual, if you want to save this tutorial, maybe you've got a folder going, or maybe you want to start one with tutorials in it, and then you'll have access to all of these for when you need to use them. Okay, we've got one more tutorial to do today. This one, if you go back to the class website, click on Add a Glitch Effect. And this is the same type of tutorial. We're going to download the files right here, and we're going to read their information, what they want us to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to my download folder here, and I've got this glitch effect folder. So I got to open that. Here it is, glitch effect. Okay, and I can see the different things that they have in there for me. And then let's see what we got here. So Gabriel says it's crazy you can manipulate a video like that. Yeah, I think it's cool as hell. You can take any footage and add probably any kind of weather you want, you know, rain, wind, snow, anything like that. Okay, so let's look at this one and see what they want us to do. So it says there are countless ways to give your footage a distressed look, depending on whether you want to simulate retro-looking television static or create futuristic signal jamming interference caused by hostile space aliens. This project uses noise, transform, and wave warp effects, as well as some wiggle expressions in After Effects. Okay, so starting in the standard workspace, import your footage and place it in a new composition. Now, we can do that one of two ways. You could, you know, bring in just the footage, but it's probably easier to just launch the whole project and then drag the footage onto a new composition, kind of exactly like we did last time, right? So if you open up the glitch effect folder and you double click on the After Effects file, of course, you know, you don't have to save this one if you want. Okay, so here, this is probably their finished file here, but this is not what we want to use. You want to open up the footage folder. You want to take this Adobe stock movie and you would drag that right down here on top of the icon for creating a new composition. And now you've got a composition which is just this dude. Well, I guess it's a little more than this dude. Let's see what it is. Okay, so we've got a little animation video of this guy, and then a bunch of lights, and then these scanner lights that come over his face. Okay, so being that you're in the standard workspace, you're going to take the footage out of that folder and drag it down onto the new composition window. Now you're in a brand new composition. It says create a new solid layer, make the dimensions small, and choose black as the color. Now to make the dimensions small, wow, it looks like they might have made them really small. We're just gonna have to pick some numbers that work for us. So we'll go up here to layer, new solid. And you can see that the composition itself, I think, is probably 1920 by 1080. Maybe that's, you know, those are the numbers that pop in there. But we definitely want to make it a lot smaller than that. And I don't know how big they want us to make it. But I'll just go in and put it in, I don't know, 100 pixels by 200 pixels high. And we'll see how that looks. Because we might have to change it. Okay, there it is, a little tiny layer solid. Okay, make the dimensions small, choose black as the color. Okay, make sure that it's black, right? Click OK. Apply the noise HLS auto effect to the solid. Okay, so we got to find noise HLS auto. in the effects panel. So go over here to your effects, click the X, and type noise HLS auto. Okay, grab that, drag that onto, now let's see, I would assume they want us to put us on this layer here. Let's see, to the solid, yes. Okay, so we're gonna grab that and drag it on top of the layer solid, which is this. Make sure you drag it just on top of that little black square in the middle, or that black rectangle in the middle, not on top of the bigger.
Was it noise H only noise HLS, or was it the noise HLS auto?
Noise HLS auto.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, make sure you drag that right onto the black square or rectangle, and if you're not confident about doing that, drag it right onto this layer here. Okay, now they want us to change the special effects. So it says set the noise grain and increasing lightness considerably. Oh, set the noise to grain and increase the lightness to 1000%. Okay, so where it says noise uniform, change that to grain. And then for the lightness, change that to 1000. Okay, so now we have this little tiny box of what we call visual noise. Okay, apply the transform effect to the solid, unchecking uniform scale, and setting large values for scale height and scale width to stretch the solid across the image. Okay, so we want to do transform, and I want to uncheck uniform scale, and then setting large values for scale height and scale width. Oh yeah, they have 520,000. Wow. Okay, let's do this all one step at a time. So, wow, how come I don't have my transform options here under this? Where do they want me to set them? Let's see. Oh, let's see. I want to. It's not going to be under. Let's see. What do they have it? I got to go back and look and see how they have this. Oh, it looks like transform is another special effect. Apply the transform effect. Okay, that's what they want. So now what we have to do is go over here to your effects and presets, hit the X to clear it out, click in there and type the word transform. Now grab that and once again drag that just onto this little rectangle in the middle. Now we have this brand new special effect. Now what you want to do is uncheck uniform scale here. So in other words, you'll be able to affect the X and the Y independently. Now, it looks like what they did was they set their scale height to 500 and their scale width to something like 20,000, it looks like. So let's see. Scale height, you can click on that number and you can drag it to the right until it's about 500. 500-ish, it doesn't have to be exactly. Okay, now the scale width, 20,000, that's insane. How did they get that kind of a number? I'm barely getting to 1,000 here. I don't think I need to go to 20,000. Maybe it's, it looks like 2,000 would be plenty to cover this whole thing. Maybe I read it wrong. I thought it said 20,000. It looks like it says 20,000. Okay. Anyway, apply the transform effect to solid for scale height and scale width. Setting large values for scale height and scale width to stretch the solid across the image. Now, I don't know if they want us to stretch it so it goes all the way up above the image too. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna, let me see what mine looks like right now. Well, mine, I mean, what the heck? At 500, mine almost covers the entire image up and down. So I'm just gonna click on that and just go the rest of the way. So in other words, if you set your height to at least 554 and your width to at least 2105, you should cover the whole image. So let's try that and see what they want us to do next. Okay. Okay. In the timeline panel, set the solid layers blend mode to darken. Okay. So the top layer here, Black solid, mode normal, click on the drop down menu and change it to darken. Okay, now you can see that when you do darken, it drops all the white out of this noise layer, and now we just have the black specks that are appearing there. Okay, now drill down on the solid layer's transform properties. Right-click the word position and choose separate dimensions to reveal X and Y position settings. Okay, so we want to find position in transform. Okay, here is position right here. And it looks like, wait, hold on a second. They might mean down here in this layer. Let me see. So I'm going to open the black solid layer. I'm going to open transform. Yeah, no, it doesn't really.
Yeah, you can right click on position.
You can right click on position?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, and go separate dimensions? Okay, let's click on separate dimensions. Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay, thank you. So right click on position and we get separate dimensions X and Y. Okay, cool. Let's go back here. Choose separate dimensions to reveal independent X and Y position settings. Click away to deselect both values. Okay, what they mean by that is just click in the gray area down here and you'll deselect everything. All right. Option or Alt click the stopwatch next to the Y position and enter the wiggle, 1100. Okay. So we got to hold down our Option key if we're on a Mac and Alt key if we're on the PC and click the stopwatch next to the Y position. All right, here we go. So here's Y position. Hold down your Option or your Alt key. Click on that stopwatch. And what the hell happened? I'm not seeing anything that's supposed to happen. I'm going to do Command Z. Well, that Command Z didn't help, did it? Boy, that was pretty weird. Let me try again. Let's see. So we got transform Y position. Let's see. Click stop and enter the expression wiggle blah 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 blah. Oh, they want us to enter an expression. Oh, here it is. We have to actually type wiggle and then parentheses 1, 1000 and then the parentheses again. Okay, got it. Okay, so right now it says transform Y position, but we're instead going to put wiggle. Let's see, 1, 1000. Let me see if I got that right. Yeah, you don't need a space between the word wiggle and the first parentheses. Okay, so wiggle, of course, is a special effect, that just kind of moves things independently. And so these numbers are, refer to milliseconds and things of that nature, how much it's going to wiggle. All right, so we did that. Click away to accept the entry. All right, clicking away just means clicking in the gray area. So click the gray area.
I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
What was the amount of wiggle that we needed in our parentheses?
So you're going to type wiggle, parentheses, 1, 1000, and parentheses.
1, 1000. Okay.
Okay. And then click in the gray area to deselect that. All right. Finally, select the solid layer and press Command or Control D twice to add 2 copies below it to the composition. So, okay, so we're going to take our black solid layer and we're going to make 2 copies of it. And then it looks like yeah, okay. And it says they're gonna go below it. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so let's go in here. Click on our black solid layer. Now we can close this up if we want, just so we can get a better look at things. Okay, do Command D or Control D. It's going to make 1 copy, and then do Command D again. So now we have 2 copies of the black solid layer. A lot of weird stuff going on here. Okay, Okay, we made.
So 3 in total.
3 total.
Okay.
Okay, now I know it's getting weird, but hopefully it'll create the desired effect. Now select all three of those solid layers and choose Layer Pre-Compose from the drop-down menu at the top. Okay, so we're gonna click on the very first black solid layer, hold down your Shift key, click on the third one so all three are selected. Then go up here to the Layer drop-down and come to the bottom of the Layer drop-down menu and click Pre-Compose. Now let's see if they want us to give this a special name. Accept the settings in the Pre-Compose dialog box and click OK. All right, so we're not going to give it any special name. We're just going to hit OK. Now what you'll notice is a couple things. First of all, you know, when you pre-compose something, it's like taking those layers and putting them into a folder in Photoshop. But that folder is its own little composition, and you can affect that individually, independently of the main composition. So now we have this new pre-composition, which has the three black layers in it. Okay, so let's see what's next. Pre-compose. Okay. Now it says reduce its opacity if you like. Preview the results. Okay, reduce its opacity if you like. Let's see. We'll go back in here to After Effects. We're going to reduce its opacity by hitting the T, as in transparency, on your keyboard. Of course, you want to make sure that you're, you know, at the beginning of your composition here. And click on the 100% and drag it to the left until you know, get the kind of look that you want, right? Now it looks like what's happening with mine is it starts out, I think I accidentally had my playback head way at the end here when I started this, and I should have had it at the beginning, but let me see. Let me go all the way back to the very beginning of the movie here. Yeah, so you can see that mine kind of starts out at the top. Once again, this is a full render here, so you can take it down a quarter if you want it to go faster. And you can see, you know, the effect that it's doing, this kind of glitchy noise effect. Now, of course, you can change that effect as much as you want. You can animate it so that it happens more or less. You know, obviously you could go back into those, you know, the scaling components, and you could scale it down so it happens sort of in the middle of the movie, kind of like theirs, as opposed to all over the screen. But it gives you the idea, you know, how to work with this kind of a special effect. Okay, now let me go back to their tutorial here. Okay. Now it says that's it for the static noise. Now, to show a momentary visual glitch 2, add an adjustment layer to the composition. Okay, so what we're going to do, make sure you grab your playback head and drag it back to the beginning of the composition. Go into, let's see, go into, make sure you're clicked on the very top layer. Go to the layer drop down at the top and click New, and then choose Adjustment Layer. Okay, and then we'll go back to the tutorial here. Okay, now it says position it between the pre-comp and footage layers. Okay, position it between the pre-comp and footage layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, I'm going to close up my pre-comp layer. I'm going to grab my adjustment layer, and I'm going to drag it down here between the pre-comp and the Adobe stock photo layer. Okay, now it says apply the wave warp effect to the adjustment layer. Okay, wave warp effect. So lots of cool effects in here. So let's go to wave warp. Click on that. Make sure you drag that to your adjustment layer, which is this one in the middle. And you can see all the kind of warping motion that it's doing there. Okay. Let's see. Apply the wave warp effect to the adjustment layer. In the effects control panel, set pinning to all edges. Okay. Pinning to all edges. So where it says pinning up here, let's change that to all edges. Keyframe wave height and wave width so they each spike briefly over the span of just a few frames. from 0 to a large number before returning back to 0. Okay, so we're going to animate this or keyframe it. So it's going to be wave height and wave width, so they spike briefly from 0 to a large number. So let's try with wave height first. So find wave height, which is this 10 right here, right? Figure out where you want it to spike, right? So like, for example, you could go to wave height right now and you could click the stopwatch, which would set it at 10 for the beginning of the movie, right? Then you can grab your playback head and drag it down to like 1 second. And now take this wave height, click on that number 10 and drag it to the right so that it spikes a lot. Like I took mine up to like 86, right? Now you only want it to spike for a few frames. So now grab your playback head and just drag it a little bit, you know, to the right. So it's just a few frames. And then take that number and take it back to 10. Click on the 86, change it back to 10. Now if you grab that, the playback head, and you scrub it over there, you'll see that it, you know, that it's 10 and then it spikes out. Let's see, 10, spikes out, and then 10 again, right? Okay. Let's see, mine, I want to make sure that it's doing it the way I want. Adjustment layer 2, effects, wave warp, wave height. Yeah, it looks like, okay, so this one here should be 10. It is. Just want to make sure. Oh, here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem with what I just did. I apologize. I forgot to set a frame right before I bumped it up to the 86. So, because I looked at it and I saw that it started at 10, but then it started to change all the way up until the 1 second mark. So what I neglected to do was you need to set it at 10 at the beginning, but then you need to go down and set it at 10 right before the 86 so that it stays at 10 for most of that second and then changes. So so what you want to do is open up your adjustment layer, open up effects and wave warp, find wave height, you'll see all your little keyframes, and grab your playback head and drag it a little bit before 1 second. Click on your empty keyframe tool right here, and then go to wave height, click on that number and set it to 10. Okay, so that should take care of the problem. In other words, it's going to be 10 at the beginning, it's going to stay 10 until it hits that keyframe you just made. Then between that and the 1 second, it's going to jump up to 86, and then it's going to go back to the 10 for the keyframe after that. So that's what they wanted us to do first with the wave height. Right now, let's do the same thing with the wave width, but maybe a little later, a little longer, further down in the composition. Now you can do it here, or you can do it up here. I think it'll be actually a little easier to do it down here. So let's go up to, let's do the same thing maybe at 2 seconds. So what we're going to do is we're going to go slightly before 2 seconds. We're going to come down here to wave width, and we're going to click on this stopwatch right before wave width. Now what that's going to do, that should just leave the wave width at 40 from the very beginning up until right before 2 seconds, right? Is 40. Now, if you grab the playback head, drag it down to 2 seconds, hit your empty diamond on the far left of wave width to create a brand new keyframe there, and then click on wave width, the number, and drag it to the right quite a bit. You know, let's go up. I'm going to go up basically in the high 80s like I did the other one. Click on your playback head and drag it a little past 2 seconds. Click on the empty keyframe for wave width, and now click on that number, which probably be in the high 80s, and change it back to 40. Now, if you're like me, you know, maybe your keyframes aren't quite the same distance between the first one and the second one and the second one and third one. You can click on any of those keyframes and move it, and then it should give you the effect you want. Okay, so now you can go back to the beginning and hit your play button. You should see the first glitch, which the first glitch was really obvious, which was the height. The width one wasn't as obvious to me. Okay, but I can see it if I just drag it over here. Yeah, I guess the width one, it works, but it's not as obvious as the spiky one. Okay, all right, let's go back to here. let's see. Now it says so they brief spikely, or so they spike briefly from 0 to a large value before returning back to 0. Try setting 3 keyframes in a row so the middle one contains a high value and the others are 0. Okay, that's interesting. They want us to go to 0, huh? Okay, and you can do that pretty easily. So what you can do is, go click on your first keyframe of the 3 here, and you've got it at 40. You could certainly set it to 0. Drag your playback head down to the 3rd keyframe in that sequence and click on it. Set it to 0, and now there should be a much more obvious spike, in that horizontal wave. You can do the same thing with the first one. We don't even need to worry about this first. Well, I guess we could set the first keyframe to 0 by clicking on it way back here and setting it to 0. We don't even need that first frame if we don't want it, but we'll just leave it there for now. Set the keyframe right before 2 seconds to 0. Leave the one, before 1 second is 0. Leave the one at 1 second alone. Of course, we're on wave height right now. Go down to the 3rd one in the sequence of the 3 together. Click on it and change it to 0. And now we've got the spiking top and then the spiking low ones. Okay, let's see. So we've got, I'm just going to double check them. So that's 0. Okay, for some reason it changed my middle one. I don't know why it did that, but I'm going to click on the middle one and change it to 86 and hit enter. And then I'm going to go down to my 3rd one, and my 3rd one is set to 86 too. They're all set to 86. Wow, that is such an incredible bummer. Okay, no, the first one's 0, and then I drag it to the middle one, it's 86, and then the 3rd one is 0. Okay, so it is actually working. Right. And then down here, this one should be 0, wave width. And then the one after it should be 88. That's what I set it for. And the one after it down to 0 again. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Oh, it's really weird. It's like it's not paying attention to those anymore. Very strange. It's like it in my case anyway, it didn't, it actually ruined the effect. It took the effect away. It's just really bizarre. I'm not quite entirely certain why it decided it wanted to do that. Maybe you guys haven't had that same effect that I had. Let's see. Yeah, right here it should be 86, right? Right here it should be 0, but when I get here I don't see the effect, so that's very strange. Okay, well, I'm not sure what weirdness, what magic is bewitching me, but hopefully you guys, it's working for you guys. Now it says try setting 3 keyframes, blah blah blah. Paste copies of the keyframe trio elsewhere in the timeline to repeat the glitch effect. Play with these effects to achieve very different results. For example, to achieve the look of poor reception, snow from the days of analog television, change the width and height settings for all 3 and in the pre-comp and match the comp, and then delete the transform effect from each solid layer. Okay, so you can just play with this. I think I'm going to do one thing here. I think I'm going to reset these from scratch, and you can do that. You can, highlight a bunch of keyframes and then just delete them if you want. And so I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to do this from scratch. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to wave height, and I'm going to click to make a keyframe. I'm going to set that to 0. Then I'm going to drag this down a little bit. Click to make a new keyframe over here. Set that to 86. Okay, and go back over here a little bit. Make a new keyframe and set it to 0. Now let's see if we get the desired effect. I guess I did. I guess that little bump that I saw was the desired effect. Yeah. Okay. It looks like the whole thing just kind of jumps up and down. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing over here at 2 seconds. a little before it, I'll click on my wave width, set that to 0. Go back here to the 2. Click on my diamond, set it to like 88. And then go after that. Click to make a new keyframe and set it to 0 again. Okay, and then, all right, let's see how that looks. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, you guys can play with that. You can affect, different things here. You can animate the wave speed, the direction, the phasing, all kinds of the type of wave. We've got a sine wave here. Let's see. So you've got triangle, sawtooth, circle. You can try all different kinds of ones here. Let's see, noise. Yeah, so you can try different things and it'll have different effects. So this is, once again, a great little effect that you guys can play with, that you can add to your movies to add sort of a little glitchy effect in there. Okay, and finally, let's take a look at, they say some other things here. You can delete the transformer effect from each solid layer if you want to, see how that looks in your special effects. But let's go ahead and finally take a look at how they did it. So they just have these white waves. They stretch theirs out. They made it really thin this way and really long this way. They stretched it out, and then they have their little jumpy thing coming in there. So they're doing a lot of cool, weird things with theirs.
Ours look better.
Yeah. So cool. So yeah. Okay. Now, like I said, you can save this in your, if you've got a tutorial folder, and then use this as reference. And then that's it for that tutorial. Okay, so I think now I'm going to give you guys, let's see, yeah, it is a cool effect, Gabriel. It says, that's why the book stuff is so confusing. It said drill down. I wouldn't be looking for a drill effect for hours. Yeah, sometimes the book is confusing, and I apologize for that, but you have to experiment around until you can find what they're talking about. Okay, so like I said, save this effect, and then I'm going to give you guys some time to work on your projects. We're going to be looking for those projects on Wednesday, so go ahead and get those finished off, and we'll look forward to seeing those from you guys on Wednesday. So take the rest of the class. I'm going to turn my video off, but I'll keep my audio on. If you have a question or you want me to look at something and give you some feedback, just pop in either and start talking to me, or type something in the chat, and I'll pop back in and talk to you about it. Okay, thanks, guys. Any questions before I let you work on your stuff?
I think we're good.
Okay, all right. Have fun working on those, guys.